Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome back. In this video, we will be covering one of the pattern command, that is the revolve pattern and the mirror command. So they are two easy commands that you will frequently be using during your modeling. So let us discuss them. So I have already created a revolve feature in which I have this sketch, and I have defined an axis for that sketch. So it is a pulley-like constructions, and if you revolve this profile around this axis, so you will get this resultant object. If I change the view to standard orientation view, which is a symmetric view, so you can see in green color the profile, so that profile has been basically revolved around this axis. So let me make some feature on that top face, and then I will try to revolve it in a circular pattern. Let us go for a whole feature. So if I want to place a whole feature on this top face, it is simple. First you have to select the placement surface. So for example, on this top plane face, if I want to create the hole, so I can place it, and then these are those two grippers which you will be needing for the references. So I can reference this hole from this plane and from this plane. So this is rectangular placement, that we did in the previous video. So if you have a planar surface, so rectangularly you can place a whole feature by giving two references. One is for the horizontal alignment and one is for the vertical alignment. So what if, for example, if you want to place a hole on that cylindrical part, and or let us say on this cylindrical face, so for that you cannot use the rectangular option. So for that then you have to use the radial options, और ये placement के साथ एक tab you have वो that is available, in which you can go for that selection. For example, normally by default अगर आप planar surface पे करते हैं, so that will be the linear option. So first you have to select the radial option. So I will place this hole using the radial parameters, this axis and one other reference from which I will give the rotation angle. So I can use the linear option over here, but let me discuss the radial option also. So if I set it to the radial option, so in the radial one reference will be for the angle and other will be for the axis around which you will define that particular angle. So if I pick these steps, let me remove those grippers. So I will select this axis, which is this one, as my first reference, and then I can select any of the plane or any straight edges for my second reference, from which it will calculate the angle. So let me select this plane as my second reference. So now from that axis I will define two, or I will set two parameters. One is that radial distance and other is that angle. So these two parameters are now required to be set through the dashboard, or dynamically you can double click on any of that text and then you can change it. So first you need to define the whole diameter. So let it be 30 units. I have set it to the radial distance. Axis का जो distance है, radius for example, if it is 165. Okay, so this is that desired location, radial distance. And then you also need to set that angle. So for example, if I set this angle to 0 degree, so my reference is this plane. So the radial distance is 165 units, and from this plane it is at 0 degree. So it will directly lie on that particular plane. If I set this angle to 90 degree, so the hole will shift to that particular quadrant. If I enter that, you can see in the clockwise direction. If I give it minus 90 degree, so that will be then to the other side, up to that side. So let me change it again to 0 degree. So now I have a hole placement at 165 units from the central axis, and the angle with this plane is 0 degree. Let me also use that standard option, and if I want to use the counter bore option, so I can the total depth of that counter bore is, let us say, 20 units, or maybe 15 units कर देते हैं. And suppose that counter bore diameter is hole diameter was 30 degree, so अगर इसको हम 40 भी कर दें, so or let it be 50 units. Okay. Let us change this depth to 10 units. So this will be the type of hole which will be generated at this particular location. Let us also change the depth to the up to the next surface. So up to the next surface means इसके बाद जो immediate surface होगा, so its bottom surface is the next surface. So the hole will be generated up to this particular surface. If you use, let us say, the through all, so all the surfaces will be covered in that. So through all में इसका मतलब ये है कि इस surface तक आपका hole जो है वो जाएगा. So let it be to the next available surface, which is the opposite side of that particular block. So I will click on the OK button. So this is now the hole that we have on the top face. And now if I want, let us say, this hole to be patterned along that particular top face along this circumferential area, so I need to use the revolve pattern option. So in AutoCAD में आपको याद होगा, you can have two types of pattern settings. One is rectangular pattern, in which you can linearly place any features along the X, Y, and Z directions. And secondly, you can also have the circular options, in which you can give any angle, and the features will be distributed along that angle in circular direction, और वो radius और angle between the objects या total angle to fill जो है वो आप पे depend करेगा. So let me use that circular option for the pattern. So pattern का icon अगर आप देखिए, so it is available in the editing menu. So right now it is inactive because we haven't yet selected any of the feature. So once you select a feature, so that will become active. So if I click on this whole feature, so now you can see you can use the pattern option. So you have many different ways, like for example, dynamically, if I click this whole feature, so in the pop-up menu, the pattern tab is there, and I can directly use the pattern option. Similarly, in the model tree, if I click on the feature, any feature, for example, whole feature. So again, the pop-up menu appears, and within that pop-up you can see the or use the pattern tab. ठीक है ना? And the most common way is to select a feature and then use a proper menu of that pattern. So you can use any methodology. So I will select the whole feature and then I'm selecting a pattern. So let me change the view to top so that you can easily see that. So we will try to pattern this whole feature along this circular direction. So उस केस में the pattern command will be covered in detail in the next video. In this video I'm only covering the circular option. So for circular option or rectangular option or any other option, first you have to go for the type of the pattern, that which type of pattern you are going to use. So dimensions and directions are normally used for rectangular types of patterns. And then if you want to fill up certain areas, so you can use the fill option, you can use the curve or point option. However, for circular patterning, you will use the axis option. So here I am selecting the axis option first. So then it will the information regarding the revolve pattern will appear on the dashboard area, and through those selection boxes and parameters you will then change the setting of your pattern parameters. So first is about the direction. Direction में आपने वो axis, चूँकि हमारी direction जो है that is set to axis, so I will select the axis over here. Yeah? First direction. So this is that axis around which I want to pattern the images. So let me again go back to the top view so that you can see. So now this is our source image, our source feature, which is the whole feature, and it has patterned that in a circular direction around this particular axis, and the total number of instances, or you can say the total number of features or pattern images that you will get, that can be set to the second text box, which is the total number of members. So if I set it to right now there are 4, so you have 4 members. For example, if I set this value to 6, so this means that you will get 6 pattern images. But if I enter that value, still you are only seeing 4 images. This is because if you look at the next tab selection, so the default selection is set to the angle between members, angle between objects. So you if you recall the AutoCAD, उसमें आपके पास 2 options हैं. You can set the angle between the objects and the total angle to fill. So ये वो angle between the object का mode है जो कि आप use करते हैं. So here the default value for the angle between the two consecutive members of the pattern images is 90 degree. So at each 90 degree, after 90 degree, you will get a pattern image. यहाँ तक तो ठीक है, you will get the 4, but the 5th one is again the angle in between the 4th and the 5th is 90 degrees, so it will directly lie on the existing whole feature. So that is why you are not able to see that. So if I change this angle, maybe let us say, if I say that the angle between each object is, for example, 30 units. Okay? So now you will have a 30 unit of angle in between each instance, and that is that positive angle, and you can change this direction through this particular icon. तो आप किसी भी पॉजिटिव डायरेक्शन में या नेगेटिव डायरेक्शन में आप जो है वो जा सकते हैं, और यू कैन write a negative sign value with the angle also. So in this way you can change the angle of rotation. अगर दोबारा मैं इस पे माइनस कर दूँ, so it will change that direction. So you can use directly, dynamically the icon or through the text box. So whatever is the angle between the object, total number of instances will be there 45 अगर आप करते हैं, so you will get 6 instances and angle between each instance will be 45 degree. And if you want to use the total angle option, so you will activate this one. So if I click on the angle, so this is the angle to fill option. So it is deactivated now, and now you can set the angle. For example, if I set it to 180 degree, so in 180 degree it will try to accommodate 6 pattern images of that. So let me change it back to 360, and suppose my number of instances are 8, for example. So I will get 8 pattern images of the selected feature radially. And if I click on the OK button, so that will be my result. If I go back to the pattern और इसको मैं edit definition में जाऊँ, I set this to the top view. So here beneath the first direction you do have an option for the second direction, number of members. What could be the second direction for radial images? That could be the levels. So radially you can place another level of those instances. For example, if I set it to 3, so now I will have 3 levels of the pattern images in radial direction, and the distance, the radial distance between each level can be set through this tab. For example, if I set it to 60 units, so now you will have 3 levels of instances, and the distance between each level will be 60 units. Again, I can write a negative value to change that direction to the other side, or I can dynamically hold this gripper, and then I can change the direction to the other side. So dynamically you can set the distance and the direction, let us say to the inside. So if I click on the OK button, so now you can see that you have 3 levels of that source image, और उसको वो pattern कर देगा depending on the total number of patterns that you will be requiring. So in this video I'm going only to discuss this particular type of pattern, which is the circular one, and it depends on the axis. So you will select an axis, and then you can give the total number of instances, angle between the objects either, or the total angle to fill option आप use कर सकते हैं, and then you can also include levels. So for example, अगर इसको मैं 2 level कर दूँ, so you will get 2 levels at certain distance, जो भी आप distance देंगे, for example 70 units आप देते हैं, so you will have 70 units of radial distance in between. Let me change this to 1. So now I will only have that source level of pattern images, and I will click the OK button. So this is that required result that you will get. In this session we will also discuss the mirror command. So again, mirror is an editing command, and by default it is inactive, and if you click on any feature, so that becomes activated, and उसके बाद आप उसका mirror image जो है वो ले सकते हैं. And you all know that mirror image will be an inverted image of that. So that is why I have used the counter bore option at the top of this screen. So अगर for example if you want to get the, or let us say the copy images of these patterns on this side of the pulley also, so simple copy के command से आप नहीं कर सकते, because the copy will simply copy these features to any other surface. For example, इस surface पे या उस surface पे करते हैं, but it will not change the orientation, the default orientation of those features. However, if you use the mirror command, so you will get the inverted image, and as this face is opposite to this one, so the copy images that you will be needing of these features must be inverted ones. So here we can use the mirror command. But if you remember, in AutoCAD, if you want to mirror a feature, so you will also be needing a mirror plane. So ठीक है, मैं यहाँ पे ये होल तो सेलेक्ट कर लूँगा, but what should be the reference for the mirror plane? वो यहाँ पे exactly at this midpoint. So if I click on the front view, you know, so I must have some edge or a line or a plane which will exactly pass through the midsection of this circular region, so that I can mirror these features along that particular reference, which right now I have nothing. So what I can do is that I can use my own sketching plane, datum plane मैं यहाँ पे define कर सकता हूँ, so that we already covered. So if I click on the, but before that, let me check the total height of this pulley. So if I double click on that, so आपके पास यहाँ से यहाँ तक जो height है, that is 240, this one, तो 240 units है. So the mid plane will be 120 units. Okay, so if I go for the datum plane options and I select this planar face as my reference, so then I can set this offset distance. So you will get a plane parallel to that particular surface, and the offset distance is in this direction. If it is 20 units, 120 units, so it will exactly pass through the midsection. So now if you look at the front view, so you have exactly at the midsection that particular plane, and now we can mirror these. So methodology remains the same. If you click on the pattern, you will get a pop-up, and in that pop-up you do have the mirror टैब अवेलेबल, या आप यहाँ से कर सकते हैं, या डायरेक्टली अगर आप पैटर्न इमेज पे क्लिक करते हैं तो यू विल गेट दैट मिरर इमेज. सो आई विल यूज़ द मिरर, एंड मिरर में आप दो चीज़ें ही सेलेक्ट करेंगे. यू विल सेलेक्ट द फीचर, एंड फीचर हैज़ ऑलरेडी बीन सेलेक्टेड बिकॉज फीचर से ही हम आए हैं मिरर में, एंड देन यू विल सेलेक्ट अ मिरर. So if I select this as my mirror plane, so it will give you the mirror image of the selected entities on the other side. And you do have one more options. यहाँ पे references में तो आपने define कर दिया है. If you go to the option menu, यहाँ पे एक dependency और independency का option available है. So right now you are getting a dependent copy of the source image. So if you uncheck that, so this means that they will be mirrored as independent images. So dependent का मतलब ये है कि if you change the source entity, इसका dimension या जो pattern images है या जो pattern type है, वो अगर आप change करते हैं तो the resultant mirror objects will also change, if it is set to dependent. And if you want to place it as independent entities, so then afterwards any changes within the source object will not affect that particular result. So that's up to you कि आप किस तरह जो है वो इस पे इसको यूज़ करते हैं. ठीक है, so I will click on the OK button, and this is your resultant object. That's it for this video. In the next video we will cover some more options of the precision menu, which is the sweep command and the blend command. So thank you.